Hello, it's Graham Cofe with another My Music. My friend here, Stan, I'm going to be talking to him in a minute. He's moving around all over the place. Who knows? We've got to try and keep him still. No, don't worry. Don't apologise.
I'm a chronic fidget.
What you need is one of these.
I need to get going, Mel. See you later.
In fact, that's their laptop stand. But the same company also do one of these. Look at that. That's for a phone. Isn't that genius? So if you're doing phone interviews, look, you can fold it up. You can take it with you, put it in your pocket, but you can get that out and you can do your phone interviews off of a little stand and it will stay still. How are you, Stan? Where are you coming from today?
I live in Dover, man. I'm on the southeast coast.
Right on the edge.
And I'm right. Good, yeah.
Yeah, right before we drop off and start swimming. What a marvelous place! What a marvelous place to live.
Yeah, I like it, man. I haven't been here long, but
yeah. When did you move there?
About 2 years ago.
All right. So you saw the pandemic out there, though.
Yeah, everything was locked down when I moved, so I just spent my days renovating and I wasn't really paying attention. It
must have been quite an interesting place to be, actually, because Dover's normally quite busy. There's stuff coming in and out of it or whatever, but in the middle of a pandemic when not a lot's coming in and out of it, that must have been quite an interesting time to have seen Dover.
Well, the nature here, like around the town, is absolutely beautiful. So I just spent a lot of time walking around, just out in the fields and listening to music really in my own little world, and I still do that.
Well, that's great.
I love it, man.
Oh, that is the best way to keep sane, I feel. When did you start first listening to music? Was it as a young boy? Did your parents get you into music, or friends, or who was it?
I guess I say it become more of a conscious thing in my teenage years. When you start to like sort of figure out who you are, I guess. But when I sort of think of stuff that I loved as a kid, like TV shows or movies, and I go back to now I'm older for like nostalgic purposes, I always notice how good the music is. So I think I was always enjoying the music, even if I wasn't fully aware of it.
Yeah.
So kind of forever, really, ever since I can remember. Do you know what I mean? It's just not always a conscious thing when you're a kid.
Yeah. I still miss, which sounds bad, really, but I still miss like kids' TV that we grew up with when I was younger, because it was like there was quite a lot of music on it. And nowadays, on a Saturday morning, right? Yeah, I'm talking about Saturday morning sort of TV, but there were always bands on, being interviewed, etc. They probably hated it because it was like they were surrounded by kids and they were being asked stupid questions all the time, like what's your favourite football team? Which some bands didn't even like football, but it was all I lived for those moments, because every now and again there would be a really great band on a Saturday morning. In amongst all of the pop rubbish, there would be a really great band, and it was like quite interesting watching them sweat, I guess. So yeah, Saturday morning TV. You were just giving an example before, and apologies for anyone that wonders what's happening with this edit, but we were having a bit of interference, so Stan had to drop out and come back in again. But you were talking about an episode of Blue Peter with Mark Hamill.
Yes, I think it was like 1980, so The Empire Strikes Back was just about to come out, so they're obviously doing like press tours, and they're on, they've got these Americans come over and they're on this Blue Peter show, and they're feeding them Star Wars stew that's been made by like one of the kids that watches the show. They're sitting there like stroking dogs, and Mark Hamill, like, he feeds some of the soup to one of the dogs and then puts the spoon back in his mouth. But the whole thing's just really bizarre. But it's like, I miss the charm of this old English TV. Like,
do.
They must have just, you can tell they're like, what is this program? Like, and it's like, can't they do this with a new cast? It'd be great.
Oh no, I love it. I love all of those moments. There's been some really great moments of it down through the years. I followed a band called Marillion for years. You might remember them, kind of neo prog band. Still going.
I know that name.
Still going. Going to see them actually tomorrow. But their original singer Fish, who was a larger than life character. There's a great episode on a sort of Saturday morning TV thing where he's sat there and he's reviewing other bands' videos, and one of the videos that he reviews is this band that then features the singer that will ultimately replace him in the band. So it's kind of a classic moment. You just kind of live for things like that. But yeah, it was also getting people like Robert Smith onto something like Saturday Superstore or whatever, because just like
it's totally different now. It's much more slick now, which is
it's too slick.
Fun. It's boring. It's really stale, and no one ever sort of is just sincere. It's always everything's amazing, everything's great. No one's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think people are a bit more honest, like on TV.
Yeah, do you remember the Tube? Did you watch the Tube when that was on?
Yeah, I've seen some of that stuff on YouTube actually.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I just love it. I love the fact that really, Jules Holland, Paulie Yates didn't really know what was going on, and it was just chaos. But they just kind of went for it, and just then later on, Terry Christian, it was just winged, and bands would see if they could push it. And they were always on the cusp of actually getting taken off air. That's the kind of TV we want, really, kind of chaos. Too much these days is really predictable, and actually, the further it goes on, the more, even like reality TV. We were talking about that the other day.
The furthest thing from reality.
Oh, isn't it?
It's so curated. It's just some people think it's real though.
Yeah, but
some
it's
people
not.
do genuinely think it's real. It's like, how do you think this is real? What's that show where like the geezer goes around like there's this program where a guy goes around like repoing cars, and nearly every episode he ends up in a shootout. It's like this guy just wouldn't have a job. Like it's just obviously fake,
Yeah.
Like it's entertaining and it's funny, but if you actually think it's real, it's like, come on.
Yeah, my eldest, who's just got back from university, was doing film there. He sat watching something the other day, and he said, people don't realise all of this is scripted.
Yeah.
And by scripted, it doesn't mean to say, they've gone off and learnt lines and they're coming on and they're acting. But what it means is that the producers will have stopped it at a point and gone, oh, this is good. Or they will actually see that something's about to erupt interpersonally, and they will actually bring people to the side and go, oh, go on, say something.
Have you ever seen the Louis Theroux Christmas special?
Yes.
It's kind of like the proto reality telly thing where you can tell he just picks a group of people he knows are not going to get on, and then just has Christmas dinner with them and watches them all explode.
Actually, that's the perfect Christmas dinner, isn't it? I mean, actually, because most Christmas dinners are a bit like that. It's the one time of the year where people invite round people that they wouldn't normally talk to for the rest of the year, and it's kind of a big social experiment around a turkey. I love it. It's great. We're talking a lot about life. Does observation of normal life filter into the music that you make? Are you quite observational, or are you more about escapism?
I'd say I am. I mean, I like to think I'm pretty good at listening. I try and listen to people rather than just waiting to talk, which I think a lot of people make that mistake. But I mean, everything gets in there somehow and influences it, I suppose. I like to not say too much about what any of it means or
whatever any of it means.
I think the fun of it is just letting other people decide what it means to them. That's kind of what's special about music, right? Once you let it out, it's not really yours anymore.
Yeah, no,
So if you say too much about what it is, you can kind of get on top of it, and then maybe if people read that, they know what it's about, and it maybe removes what they thought it was about, which I think can maybe spoil it sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, Who were the first bands or artists that really inspired you?
Probably Dylan and the Velvet Underground. They were two that, because I was just listening to music a lot, but those were the ones where it really kind of was like, "Whoa, okay, this is what I want to do," if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like it was like I'd been listening to a lot of music, but it's like, okay, this is a step up. This is the real deal. And then I found a lot of bands after that were kind of connected to that, who were maybe still around, that kind of carried on that sort of lineage of music.
Well, what was it about those? Was it the authenticness of what was being
It's hard
said,
to, I don't know, it's hard to quantify it, isn't it? It just kind of, I mean, I was very young. I was probably like 13 or 14 when I heard Dylan stuff. There's just something about the kind of almost like a reverent sort of nonchalance of the lyrical delivery, but it was so poetic and it had so much like melody to it, and I don't know, it just switched something on in my brain.
Yeah.
And then the Velvet Underground, I feel like they're kind of similar in a way. Like Lou Reed's lyrics were great, but the music had this more kind of dirty psychedelic thing, which I really liked too. I was like, they were kind of like the two things that have stayed in my music.
Yeah, they're happy to experiment as well with.
Yeah, it's not like it's just, I don't know, it's just unusual to my teenager brain. I was like, this doesn't sound like anything else. It's not, and it's more rough and kind of, you have to meet it halfway. It's not so like polished.
And when did you? I don't know. When did you first start doing it for yourself? When did you first start making music?
I can't really remember. I mean, I started playing when I was 13, so I was probably making stuff up pretty early. But
and what was that? Guitar?
Guitar, yeah. I don't think I got close to being able to articulate what I wanted to do in my head into something recorded until I was like sort of 20, when I started, learning to record myself properly.
Yeah.
I'd say by about 21, I was making stuff that I was pretty happy with.
That's quite a long period of of playing, but not being happy.
Yeah. I guess so. I was just learning what I liked and learning how to.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it is. I think a lot of being able to make stuff that you want to make is being able to almost reverse engineer what you like and figure out what you like about it in a way. I don't do it in an analytical way like that. It's more intuitive. But I think if you can understand the bones of what makes something feel a certain way, then you can go about doing your own thing with it.
Yeah.
It takes a while. It's a learning curve. Plus, I learned a lot of different instruments, so it wasn't just guitar. I learned to play like drums and keyboards, bass, harmonica. I was teaching myself to sing and learning how to write lyrics.
Have you got a short attention span, perchance?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No.
I just felt like I needed to be able to play a lot of stuff to be able to make albums.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
So that's why I kind of learned a bunch of things. Because I record records by myself.
Right.
And I play all the instruments.
Is that?
It's just out of necessity, really.
It is. It's out of necessity, but then again, there are other people that can play. So what was it in your mind that said, "Well, I want to do this all myself," as opposed to do this with other people?
Part of it's the freedom. Like it could be like 2 a.m. and I could have a good idea and get excited about it, and I can just go and pursue it.
Yeah.
So it's quicker, it's more free. But also, I'm kind of obsessive with it, and I love doing it. And other people at the time, well, maybe not so much. I would get people to come and record their parts or get more involved, and I would find a lot of the time they would just be kind of bored or frustrated with the process of recording. I think people don't realize how slow,
laborious it is.
Yeah, it's not as fun as people think. So I would find people. I would have a bunch of band members in the studio, like sleeping on the floor or something, or, while I was doing stuff. So I was like,
you're right there. People have absolutely no idea how long it takes to record stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. It was like just a freedom thing. It wasn't really like a ego sort of thing. Like it was just, I have something in my head and I want to be able to execute it without having to harass anyone or use their time up. I can just do it myself. So
when you're putting an album together, so you've got this new album? When did you write this album?
I think I was like 26. It's quite a while ago.
But so it's taken a while for this to come to fruition. Then.
It's taken a while for it to come out, but it didn't take a while for me to make it. But I carried on making a lot of records. Like I record a lot of stuff, and it's piled up. I've got something like 7 unreleased albums or something crazy. And I just wanted to wait a little while until I was in a different position to put this out. And now it feels like the right time. So there's going to be like a steady stream of stuff. There's tons of stuff. I'm really excited about it, actually.
That's cool. What were you waiting for?
Different things. Like one of the things, I didn't want to bombard people with too much stuff. That was one of the reasons I just held back for a while. Because this is our 10th release now. So I thought I'd just hold off for a bit. I moved, so we've been doing that. Yeah. Just life, really. It's like I want to get some things in place, and then we'll try and bring it out on vinyl. I'm glad we did that, but now it's going to be it's going to be like a steady. And I've got maybe 2 in my head that I need to record as well. So.
Wow. Yeah. So you are a prolific guy.
I do make a lot of stuff. Yeah. I'm just obsessed with doing it. Really, it's a rush.
Yeah. Is it? Within the process of doing it, do you have obsessions within that obsession as well? Are you obsessed with trying to make something different every time? Are you obsessed with trying to just get better at the process or the writing?
I think so. Yeah. I always want to feel like there's a purpose to it. I make a lot, but I'm also very critical, so I like to think I'm not just putting out anything.
Yeah,
because quantity isn't always quality, is it? But
no.
Yeah, I try to just let it come as it comes. I don't think about it too much. Sometimes I'll be really inspired by a certain sort of sound. Like our last album was totally instrumental, and it was really sort of cinematic. And I used hardly any guitars on it. It was all like keyboards and synths, and I was making it like cutting up old drum beats of mine. It was more like hip hop production almost. And I really enjoyed making it, and it was totally different sort of process. But I wasn't like, I'm going to do this, It just sort of happened.
Listening to it, I mean, if I take a track like Foresight for Hindsight, if you listen to the guitar in that, there's like, what I like about it is you've got a line from the guitar which is quite set and repeats itself, and then you've got noodlings on the guitar over the top of it.
Yeah.
Which are just like.
Yeah, there's one guitar on that track where it's like, okay, it was close to what I wanted it to be, but I was like, it needs a little bit more texture.
Yeah.
So I just plugged in and just made up this kind of loose,
stuff
noodly, jangly thing. Yeah, because it just adds. It's not the same every time I'm making it up. So I find when you listen to that back, for me, that kind of thing keeps your brain engaged with multiple listens because it's not so structured. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a perfectly structured like pop song or something. So it has more lifespan, I think.
Yeah. No, I like
that's what I'm trying to do anyway. I don't know.
Well, I really like that because there's a temptation these days with, click tracks, auto tune, quantizing everything else to have absolutely everything on the money all the way through.
Yeah.
But as you say, from a listener point of view, that means that part of you can build, your ears build an expectation. You know what's happening.
Yeah, your brain latches onto patterns. It's like just a thing we do.
Yeah.
So if there's too much of it, it can be boring. It's not stimulating. Or for me, it's not anyway.
Yeah. And as you say,
it's like how it's I know it's not the same for everyone, but I love the sound of like tape warble.
Yeah.
The way the sound like subtly flutters. And if you take say like a pitch bender or a vibrato, but it moves the same amount in and out of pitch each time, it doesn't give your brain that same tingle because your brain picks up the pattern. It's shifting the same amount, but with like a tape warble, it's random. So there's an element of that I've always been drawn to, because you can't predict it. So your brain's like, oh, like, I like that. So that feels good. Like,
yeah. Would you ever experiment further with that? Would you ever, would you ever think about trying to create music that's completely organic? Trying to find a way where every single time that you listen to it, it is different in some way, using technology to do that.
Maybe I don't know. I think there's a fine line between it becoming kind of a mess, like a pretentious mess or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was saying about the Velvet Underground, like What Goes On, the guitar lead part in that. I think he just played the solo like 20 times, and they just laid it over and over again, and they're all slightly different. Yeah. And so when the guitar comes in, it just sounds absolutely mental. We've been playing together for years now, like 7, 8 years.
But does that work in the same way?
Probably even more so.
Yeah, you don't stick to a very tight structure in terms of the songs. You allow them to.
Yeah, I mean there'll be like there's like obviously like sections. So like this is where the verses or the dynamics come up here or whatever it is, but within it there's freedom to kind of get a little bit loose, and I think it's more interesting for it. Like I say, there's a line where you're just like shredding for yourself, and to an audience it's boring.
Yeah.
Well, I guess some people do love that stuff, but generally. So it's like you want it somewhere in the middle. You want to keep this play for the song, but also there's a little bit of freedom to move around within that.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act, I guess.
Yeah, and as I say, that's what I loved about that track. There was a line in there that was holding the brain's attention, but there was this other line on top that's going, oh, it's going there, it's going there, it's going there, But also, there's an element there as well with that which I quite like as well, is that kind of loose, kind of noodling kind of guitar is possibly where people start when they start playing lead guitar as well, as opposed to unless you're going for that virtuoso. A lot of people can't play a melody straight off at speed or whatever, but the kind of noodling thing, trying to pick up where your ear is and stuff like that, is where a lot of people start. So is there an element to your music that wants to be, whilst it wants to be something that people look at and appreciate in terms of the skill element of it, but also you want to make music that you feel other people could feel that they could play as well?
Yeah, maybe, why not? I mean, if I can inspire other people to make stuff, what more is there than that as a musician or an artist?
Yeah.
Like some of the messages I get are really kind, it's like, oh, your music's inspired me to go and do my own thing like this or whatever, and it's like, man, like, what's better than that? So
there isn't anything better than that, really,
of course, is it? Like, no, I don't think so. Like anything else is superficial, I think.
Yeah,
like it's the ultimate, because that's how I felt listening to the stuff that made me want to do it.
Well, that's where I was going.
It's just a very nice feeling, and it's like, I'm glad that you feel that way. Like, go for it, go get it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that Dylan, especially as an artist, was an artist where he kind of inspired other artists to find themselves and follow suit and have their own voice.
Yeah. And he was to be in the hurricane of fame like that and all these labels being put on him, I think if the wrong person could have got very self-absorbed and arrogant, and he was more like, don't put these on me, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good for anyone. Just, I'm just writing songs. I always identified with that from when I was very young, to be that level-headed and real.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in this business are very fake. So I've always been drawn to that.
When you say fake, What is it that's fake about them?
Well,
the music is the music fake, or it's
well, let's put it this way: if someone else was in that position he got in, and they were being called the voice of a generation, they would probably start to believe it and kind of lap it up and be very self-absorbed. Whereas he was much more like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He knew he wasn't that. He knew he was just a troubadour. Yeah, he knew he was just a someone that was carrying tunes around.
Yeah, and he had the strength of personality to be able to see that and just push it away.
Yeah,
which I think is very cool.
It's very cool. I think he is, without a doubt, one of the coolest people on the planet.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
Which is great. So, where's the big ambition for you? There's the ambition is what, or is it to inspire and to leave a body of work that people can be inspired by over a period of time? Is that the big ambition for you?
Yeah, I suppose so. But if you really get to the crux of it, yeah, what else is there? I just want to get it to as many people as I can, and hopefully make people feel good in some way or inspired. And just for me, I just like I said, I just love doing it. I'm sort of obsessed with it. So
yeah,
it's an outlet.
Are you happy with the way that the music, or the way that music is disseminated these days? Are you happy with the fact that it's all out there, digital, easy to access, or do you think we've lost something in that?
Like everything has positives and negatives, right? So, I mean, it's great that you have instant access to so much stuff, because you can, there's so much great stuff you can discover that can affect you in a pretty profound way sometimes. But at the same time, it's like there's too much coming at you that you can't focus on. Like stuff gets lost in the noise. Like everyone's a musician or a photographer or an actor or whatever it is now,
Right.
They're not really, but there's just so much of it. It's like, do you know, it's like, where do I look? It's almost too much digital noise every day. So I think there's definitely negativity that comes with that.
Everybody's
kind of stressful.
You're right. Everybody's an expert in everything. And you can suddenly be an expert these days, because you can self-proclaim yourself an expert in something, and then you are an expert, and it's okay because you're online and doing it. I always look for, personally, I always look for authentic curation, because I think that's for me, I think you need that. I think you need people who you can trust to guide you into in what you're listening or reading, etc. I think it comes down to that authentic curation. I want to listen to something, or I want to read something because somebody I trust, I feel is being open and honest about what this is, and is actually telling it for what it is saying, have a listen to this, warts and all, saying that well, it's this is quite good, I'm not particularly fond of this particular bit, or I'm not particularly, this doesn't resonate with me, but whereas I think there's a lot of curation out there that people believe these days, which is just market forces.
Well, it's like the Telecommunications Act in like '97 in the US. They claimed it was to help kind of nurture healthy competition, but all it did was just allow conglomerates or like one label to buy out every music outlet and TV channel, and then just share the same things on all of them. It's like you notice after that point that it starts to get quite poor, because the small guy just doesn't get through anymore. Like back before then, you might have a chance if you hounded a radio DJ enough, he might just play your demo on the air. Whereas that's like stuff is so rare now, just because of all the like legal things, because like 3 companies or something own almost everything, you know.
Yeah.
So
mean,
what you're
that's
saying
where-
about, like, if you have someone that you trust, you know, you might have similar tastes, it definitely helps to whittle things down a bit and give you some kind of starting point of what to check out. But at the same time, there's this like massive conglomerate curation, which I think is just turned everything into like bland slop.
Yeah.
It's almost all the same, really. I know that's
if people don't know what I'm
but
talking about, you know, just turn on a one of those black dot things in the corner of your room and just say, play me, you know, X genre of music. And what comes out, well, you know,
it'll just be whoever's got the most money behind them. Basically.
Exactly.
Sometimes they'll be good, but a lot of the time, talent and success are mutually exclusive, I find.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of it's like who your parents are or what kind of money you have to push your music. You know, like there's a lot of connections, and people just think, oh, well, this person's doing well because they're the best. It's like, it really doesn't work like that.
No. I mean, that's
I've
why
got
I like
friends who are like really gifted who, you know, nobody knows about them. But if you put them in a room with some of these so-called, like, you know, brilliant musicians of the day or whatever, they would kick the shit out of them, you know, one-on-one as songwriters. Do you know what I mean? Like, I find
yeah, no, exactly.
You can't do
and
that in your life.
And that's why I like platforms like Bandcamp, because and I'm not saying they do everything right, but I like the fact that, you know, it's, you get at the bottom, it's like, you know, this is supported by these people, and you know, you can actually form a relationship with those people, or you know those people, and you get artists that or you get playlists that are actually curated by fans or people that really like music, right?
Yeah.
And it's it just feels more genuine. It just feels more, you know, people don't have to actually put that stuff there as well. I think that's the key to it. People don't have to put that curation there. They're not getting paid to do that curation. They just want to put that curation there because they want to. It's a bit like the old mixtape, right? You know, when you used to,
they're just passionate about it.
Yeah, you know, when you used to create a mixtape for your friend, and you go like, "Mate,
I still do that."
To this, right? Yeah. Well, because it was great, though, wasn't it? As a process, there was a lot of love in that, an awful lot of love in that. It was because you'd found these little gems, and you wanted to pass that on. I think that's great. So I'm always looking for sort of like digital versions of that as well, digital versions of the mixtape, if you like, where it's like someone passing their love on. There's nothing in it for them whatsoever. It's just, you know, they've spent the time, they've spent an hour or something curating that and saying, I like this for this, and, you know, you should really have a listen to this for this, and, you know, that's great. You just feel like that's come from a place of honesty, and it's a good way of cutting. For me, that's a great way of cutting through the noise.
Yeah, well, it's curated based on the passion for it, not based on like who's got to deal with who and who needs to be included, or like there's going to be a lawsuit or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just honest. Like, I like this music because I like it, and that's it. There's nothing else behind it. I mean, my brother is probably the person that does that for me. We have very similar tastes, and he often sends me stuff, and I nearly always like it. So we kind of share music between each other, which is nice.
That's cool to have that in your life. That's definitely cool. Talking of finding music, you say this is available on vinyl.
Yeah.
Where do people get hold of that? Because I mean, that's going back to your tape wobble. That again, that's a medium that's worth actually investing in, because it's slightly different every time you put the needle to the groove. And that's why I like vinyl.
Then there's something about, just on a really basic level, is like the size of the artwork, the way it's presented. It's not like a CD or a digital post-it note on the screen. There's something about the size of it and being able to have it presented in your face on a big record and appreciate the art and the tangibility of it. Like, there's something special about it, I think.
I also like the commitment aspect of vinyl. You've got to, you know,
you're
you've
not
got
going
to
to
commit
skip to
to listening
tracks.
to it. No, you've got to commit
You're
to
going to put a
listening
record
to
on.
it. Yeah.
If you look for Flower Power Records, you can buy it from there. Or, I mean, if you just Google the band and the album, you know, it'll come up. It's pretty easy to find.
There you go. So if you Google Black Market Calm, you will find Ape Flare and Hijacked Ideas, and you'll be able to order yourself a piece of vinyl.
Get some wax.
A bit of. Is it black?
One is orange and one is blue.
Oh, one's orange and one's blue.
The artwork is a split,
It's
color
split,
scheme.
and
So
you've got. There you go.
I thought it was fun to do it like that. You know.
You have to order two, so that you've got both colours. Because that's
No. You get the one record, but it's a
the
double.
one record is split in half.
No, it's a double LP.
It's a
so
double
one
album.
record is orange and one
Right.
is blue. But you get that, you know, as standard.
There you go. That's lovely. And then you can decide whether you're in an orange mood or a blue mood for the day. Yeah, I like that as well. Well, Stan, thank you for coming and talking to me today. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, it's been nice, man. Nice to meet you.
Cool. And
finally through a screen.
There you go. Well, if you're ever down southwest, Exeter or Bristol way, let us know. It's a long way from where you are.
We've played Bristol a bunch of times, so it could potentially be in Bristol.
Cool. Well, if you're this way, let me know. I'll try and come and see you.
Yeah, man, it'd be good to meet you in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks for coming and having a chat today. And guys, please do go and investigate Stan's music.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been